By the end of this video, you'll be such a genius at video titling, I'm going to ask you to rename this one. Seriously. That's your challenge. Yep, you got it. Today we're talking about video titles. If you want your videos to perform better, you have to write good titles. But here's the thing. I know you're fed up with videos that promise more YouTube views and then serve up last year's advice. So here's how we're bringing it all right up to date. We've collected the 100 highest impact titles of the last 3 months from small, medium, and large channels, and we're going to break these down to offer up 6 formulas for irresistible YouTube titles. So why is this important? Well, David Ogilvy, the original madman and father of modern advertising, said that on average 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy. So when you've written your headline, you've basically already spent 80 cents out of your dollar. Well, on YouTube, unless you have like a world-beating impression to view rate of over 10%, you can assume that at least 20 times more people are reading your headline than are watching your videos. Imagine how many more views you'd get if you close that gap between impression and view, even if just a little. But before we get to the juicy, practical part of this video, we need a foundation in theory. First up, have you noticed that YouTube titles have been changing? It wasn't so long ago that you'd head to YouTube for your how-tos, and a title was considered clickbaity if it was presented as a listicle. 7 tips, is that right? Yeah, 7 tips to lose friends quick and you won't believe number 3. But a primary YouTube use case was, if you wanted to learn something for free, you'd open up YouTube, drop your search term in the search bar, and choose one of the top 3 videos. And these titles would inevitably all be quite similar. How to write better YouTube titles and get more views. How to write a perfect YouTube title that gets clicks. Or how to write killer YouTube titles, descriptions, and tags in 2024, etc., etc., etc. These are dry SEO-inspired titles, and they speak to an audience that knows exactly what it wants. And these days on YouTube, that audience is proportionally small compared to the audience that actually doesn't know what it wants, or at least not consciously. And that's where YouTube's recommendation engine comes in. When I started out making YouTube videos for companies, it was all about YouTube search, with over half the traffic originating from search as a source. But that's changed, and videos really blow up by being pushed through browse features and suggested videos, which are essentially YouTube's primary channels for recommendation. I mean, check this out. Even the SERPs are kicking up recommendations now, which is just mind-blowing. So if you want to win the click from this audience, you need to stand out from the crowd and speak to more primal urges. So quick wins, big benefits for health, wealth, and relationships, and curiosity hikes and spikes. And this has led to a bunch of trends in title writing. The hookification of titles, the pivot to first-person narratives, the proliferation of power words. More on those later, but first, a quick word of warning. In some ways, this is a professionalization of YouTube. We're getting better at writing titles that stand out in an increasingly competitive environment. But it's also a kind of tabloidification. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a short-term play. You can write a great title, but if you don't fulfill the promise of the title in your content, you won't gain authority with your audience or the algorithm. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. A quick anecdote to back this up. We had an influencer who packages his content perfectly on a client's podcast the other day, and he could only muster up 200 odd registrations despite having millions of followers across platforms. I think this is because he's a performance-driven influencer rather than a brand-driven influencer. People watch his videos for the packaging, but have little attachment to the product. They'd happily watch the same video with just about any other presenter. Now, there are plenty of channels that use anti-titles, and these channels often have the strongest brand. 2 examples are Answer in Progress with 1.65 million subs at the time of recording, and Nerdwriter with 3.2 million subs. If you made a video titled Why Women's Pockets Are Useless, how many views do you think you'd get? Over 700,000? I mean, this is the power of brand, of consistently meeting and surpassing an audience's expectations with great content. Okay, rant over. Let's get back to the titles and work with the assumption that you want the quicker wins for now. What is a YouTube title? It's the most important determinant of whether someone is going to watch your video. And it's one of 5 variables which can impact impression to view rate. What are the others? Well, there's the thumbnail, of course, but also the runtime, the channel name and logo, and the view count to dates, and the video's recency. These things all have an impact. Just think about your own behavior. Would you have clicked on this video if it just had 1 view or a runtime of 3 days? Probably not. A YouTube title can be up to 100 characters, but the titles will regularly be eclipsed if you go over 55 to 60 characters. Indeed, when we analyzed all the top 100 titles, the median length was 51 characters, or 9 words, which chimes well with common YouTube recommendations. If you need to check your title length, you can use the Len formula in a spreadsheet or ChatGPT or a free tool like this one. One of the easiest ways to increase your views on YouTube is to optimize the titles of your already published YouTube videos. How does this work? Well, you're basically manipulating the impression to view rate, or CTR. Let's do a quick bit of math with this video from one of our clients. Here we have a video with over 24,000 impressions and a pretty strong click-through rate. We've generated well over 2,000 views, some of which are repeat views. So we have an impression to view rate of just under 9%. So imagine we optimize our title and we hit 10%, jumping just over 1 percentage point. Suddenly we'd be on track to gain another 200 views, or a 10% increase in views, just from one quick change to a title. Not only that, these effects can often compound, especially if your video has got good watch times, and it can lead to inflection points where views just gather exponentially. This is why titles and title testing is so important. So now you're convinced of its value, let's look at those killer titles I mentioned earlier in the video. How do we know they're killer? Well, two ways. We visit channels across industries that have pivoted to this kind of recommendation-first titling, like Nisha in personal finance or Ahrefs in digital marketing, as well as smaller creators with blow-up videos, and we use the vidIQ plugin to identify the channel's outliers. But this isn't 100% reliable, because it doesn't favor the most recent videos. To do that, we wrote our own little crawler to identify standout performers from a channel's last 3 months. And here's a glimpse at what we came up with. Once identified, it's time to title jack, adopting and adapting the titles to your niche before your competitors do. And then going a step further by analyzing the factors which actually make these titles so damn clickable. Without further ado, let's do that analysis. Grab a pen and paper. First up, the content of your title is way more important than its structure. And when you're thinking about the content of your title, old rules die hard. The simple framework of the 4 U's is still a winner today. Your title needs to be unique. It needs to be useful, meaning the value or benefit is immediately discernible. It needs to be ultra specific, meaning it might call out a specific pain point or target group or both. And it needs to be urgent. What does urgent mean? It means it's deadline or scarcity driven, or perhaps it says something like, if you don't fix X now, then Y will happen. Nisha is the queen of these kinds of FOMO titles, and she's hoarding the views because of it. Accountant explains, money habits keeping you poor is a great example. Or this one, YouTube is now on easy mode. Anyone can blow up in 2025, which basically ticks all the 4 boxes. It's fresh, it's valuable, and it makes you want to click right now. Next up, use first and second person language to connect with your audience. When you say something like, I'm 35, I wish creators spare me 10 minutes, I'll save you 10 years. You're building trust and credibility by sharing your own experience while promising value to the viewer. The formula here is first person plus credibility plus second person plus benefit. Third, psychological triggers are your best friend. Things like scarcity work wonders. Titles like The Blueprint to Make Dollars on YouTube from Day One create a sense of urgency. Curiosity is another powerful tool. Do this every time you get paid, your paycheck routine, that really inspires curiosity to get you to click. It's simple, but you need to know what that habit is, right? Fourth, for clarity and engagement, and to build that ultra specificity, you need to use hyper-specific numbers. Why? Because numbers promise structure and value and set expectations. Titles like 30 years of business knowledge in 2 hours and 26 minutes, or give me 9 minutes and 2025 will be your best year yet, instantly tell the viewer what they're going to get. Fifth, make a list of power words. Words like easy mode and proven and blueprint make your titles irresistible. For example, YouTube is now on easy mode, anyone can blow up in 2025, uses this easy mode to draw viewers in. And connected to this is the final tip. You need to take lots of inspiration from, I can't pick it up, from social media. If you think about power words like easy mode, this is something that has just appeared in the last month or two. And you see the top creators really jumping on the opportunity to use this kind of hack within their titles, and their videos really blowing up as a consequence. But it's not only power words that you should be looking around for, it's also this hookification that I mentioned earlier in the video of YouTube titles. And this hookification is basically bringing in hooks that work on short form video like Instagram Reels or TikToks, for example, and inserting them and experimenting with them in YouTube titles. A great reference for this is Yassine from Viral Video Club, who really regularly does a rundown of the top hooks on Instagram. Social media is basically a gold mine for hooks. For instance, a title like "You've consumed enough, it's time to start creating" challenges the audience directly, Dave Goggins style, making it stand out. And it's definitely not a title that you intuitively think is going to work. So now you're a world-class title writer, what should I call this video? I know I can't call it "How to Write a Killer YouTube Title" because that's not unique, nor is it particularly urgent. There's just no FOMO. So this is what I'm going with for now. YouTube titles are changing. Here's how to win big in 2025. What do you think? Answers in the comments. And if you want free resources, including lists of power words for YouTube titles, all the top titles of the past 3 months, constantly updated, the Python code for identifying top titles, a breakdown of the most effective hooks, or just a friendly chat about YouTube, join our free community for YouTube strategists. Humble Weed by Humble&Brag. The link's in the description. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and check out this video for the latest and greatest titles of the past month in our game show, Rank My Title. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.